I've got a boat cover for the boat, and it has the straps that go underneath the boat, and you pull them tight, and it makes the cover pretty tight. But if it rains, then there's going to be water that puddles in the middle, and it's going to sag down no matter how tight you try to make those straps. So I'm going to make a support for it. I actually made one a couple of years ago, and I left it at the boat ramp one day. So I'm going to make another one similar to the one I made before, and it's going to go from the windshield back to the back. You could make one that goes from the windshield to the front as well, but when I fold the bimini top over to the front, that holds up the cover pretty well on the front end. So I'm going to use basically one 2x4 by 10 to make this. I may use a few scraps of wood in addition to that, but that's what I'm going to use, and we'll get started. So to make this boat cover support, I've measured from the top of the windshield back to the back of the boat, where the back of this thing will rest, and a 10-foot 2x4 is what I need for that. I think it's a little bit less than 10 feet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rip a little edge, rip a piece off of the edge of this 2x4 to start with, and I'll make it thin enough so that it will bow, and I will take the remaining part of the 2x4 and cut some blocks, a larger block in the middle, a couple of shorter blocks about a quarter of the way up and back, and then bow that small piece that I cut off and tack it on, and I'll have a bowed support, because if I just use a straight piece of wood, it's not going to be tall enough to really keep any puddles from developing in the boat cover when it rains. So I've cut some blocks here to support the bow section, and I really didn't measure these to any particular length. I just cut some that I thought would work. I made one of these once before, so I'm going to try to make this similar to that one. So we'll see how this works. I'm sanding these edges smooth so that it'll be smooth to sit on the boat surfaces, and also smooth underneath the boat cover. So I'm putting it together here. On this end, I cut a wedge to fit, and drilled a couple of holes, pilot holes for my screws, so that I wouldn't split the wood down here. Put that wedge in there so it would help support it. Got the center support in there, and I did a wedge on this end also, and I'm getting ready to just cut this end off and sand that edge off and get it good and smooth on the end. Cut a couple more support pieces here, and the tops of them I've just cut at the angle that will fit here. So I just put that right in there and in the right spot, and put a screw through the top of that on both sides. I think we'll be done. So on the back end of this boat cover support, I put a cross piece that'll sit on the back. It's actually going to sit behind the cushions just on the fiberglass. And again, I've sanded this smooth, rounded all the corners, make sure it's not going to do any damage. And then on the other end, where it's going to hook onto the windshield, I put a little piece here that would hook onto the windshield and hold it. So here's the finished product. It's pretty simple. It just lays on top, and the rear support back there keeps it from falling over. And we'll see how it works. So here's the way it looks before the cover goes on. You see it gets way up above the windshield. So here it is with the boat cover on it. You can see that it raises up the cover really well so that rain's going to run off of it really easily. And then on the front end, that bimini top is holding it up okay. You can make a similar one for the front if you didn't have that, if you needed to. But looks like it's going to work pretty well.